Good evening, crafting friends. I'm Dorene Decibus from It Begins with Ink and Paper, and welcome to Fun Fold Friday. It is so nice to have you join me tonight, whether you're watching on the live or on my live Facebook presentation or my replay or on my YouTube channel. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. I am here to do another Fun Fold. I'm not sure how everyone is doing. I hope all of my Florida friends are doing well. I know my sister is. She ended up going to Georgia and found this fabulous little town that opened up a campsite for all of the evacuees and let them stay there for free. They had water hookup, electricity. It was just so nice. They even had meals that were brought in, and she said the town was just fabulous. She is heading home today, and from what her neighbors have said, her house is okay. My parents' old house has had some damage to it, but otherwise it looks like everyone's doing fine in my family, at least. So I hope your families are safe too from that horrific storm. Well, tonight we're using the Wintry Treetop stamp set again. I just love these little birds, and I love the Designer Series paper. I am using from the Everyday Greetings the Hello, but primarily I'll be using this stamp set today. And I'm also using the Birch embossing folder. It's a 3D embossing folder, and it goes perfectly with this set. So let's get started. The card we're going to make tonight is called a double front flap fold, and this is what the card looks like. All tied up, no belly band this week, but we've got a ribbon instead, and so I'm just going to untie it so you can see the fold. So it has a little double card on it. So it's got this little card on the front, and then you open it up and it's got a card on the inside. So that makes it it makes it fun. Hi, Angela. Thanks for joining me tonight. And then it closes like that. So it has that extra flap, and then the ribbon ties it together. All right, so let's get started and go over what you need. So for tonight's card, you need a piece of 5.5 by 10-inch cardstock. We're going to be scoring that, and that's in early espresso. You are also going to need a piece of 3 by 7 inches, and we'll be scoring that as well, so I'll set those aside. You're going to need, for the inside of the card, you're going to need a piece of 4 inches by 5.25 basic white cardstock. I have a scrap here that I'm going to be stamping my bird on so I can color it in. And I also have a piece that measures 3 by 2.5 inches. This is going to be for the inside of for the front of the little tiny card, and I have already stamped it and embossed it, and I did that just because I didn't want to have to do the embossing and have the camera shake all over the place. So you can see what that birch tree embossing looks like. And if you're going to stamp, you want to stamp first and then emboss afterwards. So we'll have that's all ready. Then you're going to need a piece of basic white cardstock that measures, which one is this? This is the 3.25 by 2 3/4. That's going to go on the inside of the card. And then, of course, you need that scrap I talked about so that you can be stamping the bird. For Designer Series paper, you are going to need one piece that measures 4 and 5.25. And using that same design, you're going to need another piece that measures 3 1/4 by 2 3/4. And then you're going to need 2 strips that measure 1 1/4 by 5 1/4. And this is of a second design. All right, so let's start doing what we need to do. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is stamp our bird. I'm going to stamp our bird in excuse me, not early espresso, Memento Black. And I'm just going to stamp it on this scrap of cardstock so I can color it in. I'm going to use the blends to color it in. And let's see. I've got a bunch of different colors we're going to use. All right, so to start with, I'm going to color the beak and the legs, and I'm using the light wild wheat blend. And I'm using the small tip because the spaces that I want to get into are tiny for this part. So I'm just going to use that small tip, and the feet are going to kind of be covered up by when I color in the branch, but I'm going to color it in right now just to have that part done. So we're done with the wild wheat. Then I'm going to color in my berries. I'm using the Real Red blends for this, and I'm going to start with the dark blend, and I want to just color in this part of the berry that's going to be a little darker. And then I'm going to blend it all together with the light red. And then I'm going to just go back and highlight that section again with the darker red. And the berries are done. And now I'm going to take this is actually one of the markers that you can color the different skin tones, and this is the SU 100. It's one of the darkest, and I'm going to use that on the branch. Now when I colored my sample earlier, I used a lighter one, but I figured I'd really want it darker. So for the next one I make, when I cut this out, it'll be really dark. I'm going to keep this one out because we're going to do something else with it. Then I'm going to take I'm using crumb cake to color in the bird. And so I'm going to take my light crumb cake first. No, excuse me. I'm going to take, my dark crumb cake first. And I'm just going to go over some of these little highlights that it's right on the stamp, so I know exactly where to put some darker color. And then I'm going to take my lighter piece, and I'm just going to blend my lighter blend and just blend that in. Now I got a little color on the outside. What you can do when that happens is take your, this is the color lifter, and you can just push back that color. But you can try to repair it with the color lifter. All right, so now I am going to take my darker color again, and I'm going to go into the wing and add some dark accents. And then I'm going to blend that in with the lighter color. And then I'm going to go back and add a little bit more of the dark accent. I am not, when it comes to coloring with the blends, I will never be maybe a true artist with this, but I just think no matter what your skill level is, you're going to get a beautiful image when you color with the blends. It's just made so easily to do. So, the magic of television, I've already cut out my image, and that's what it looks like right there. I'll just bring it a little closer to the camera. Bring it down a little bit. One day I'll be good at this. There we go. So that's my bird, and that's going to go on the front of my card. So I'll just set that other one aside so I can cut it out later. And now let's do some work on the scoring. So I'm just going to put the designer series paper aside. So for our small piece of cardstock, the 3x7, we're just going to score this in half at 3.5. So I'm just going to run my tool down there. And then on my piece that's 5.5 by 10, I'm going to score this at 4.25. And I'm also going to score this at 8.5. And that's the scoring. Remember that I will be putting all of the measurements of the cardstock, including the scoring, in the comments after the video, and I'll also be putting it in the description on my YouTube channel, so you'll be able to find those easily. So I'm going to start just by folding in. You're going to be folding in on both of these sides, and I'm going to show you, I know this happened to me before, when I go to fold it, do you see how I'm getting this bend right here? That sometimes happens when the fold marks are exactly at the halfway points, and that's what it is on this card. So a little trick, and this is easier than trying to recrease this, is to just take your paper trimmer out and cut like maybe not even a 1/16 of an inch. So I'm getting that as close as I can to the track. I'm just going to cut this tiny little sliver off of the card, and then I'm not going to have that problem. So that's just a hint anytime you're making this kind of card that you want it to fold flat, is that oftentimes you just need to take it a little bit away from that point. Okay, so let's start putting this together. So I'm going to fold this one as well. All right, so on the inside is going to go my large piece of basic white cardstock. This is going to be where I can write my message, do any of that I want. I also have, I cut out a little chickadee from the designer series paper that I thought would be cute to add to one corner on the inside. I used a different bird on the inside of my other card. I used this one here, and he's coming down. You just have so many options with the designer series paper of the little birds. On this one, I cut all the greenery and berries away, but on this one, I kept it on. So there's the inside of the card. Now, I wanted to cover both the inside and the outside of this flap. So that's why I cut 2 strips. It is just the back side of the birch tree paper with the birds. So I'm going to, yeah, that's correct. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't going upside down. So I'm just going to line this up on the inside. I could also put a piece of designer series paper here if I want. I like to leave as much space as I can in case I need to add another white panel here and be able to write something, you know, more. So this other strip is going to go right here. Let me just get it straight. Sometimes I just have to go sideways. There we go. All right, on the front, my front panel is going to go this large piece of the birch paper. Birch trees are my absolute favorite tree. And you can see on this piece of the Designer Series paper, it has the little birds all throughout the front of the paper, which just makes it so cute. So I'm just going to center this on. And now I have the basis of the card all together. This piece, and I'm not going to do any of the decorating yet on it, I am going to add this to about the center of the cardstock. So center of the card, excuse me. And I'm going to center it to the top and bottom and to the two sides. And then I'm going to add my adhesive on it. It's really important that you do this step first before you decorate it. And I'm going to show you why in just a moment. Because this is going to be opened a lot, I'm going to put a lot of adhesive on it. And that looks pretty good. So I'm going to adhere it down. So the next step is we need to add the ribbon that we're going to use to close it. For this card, you only need 20 inches of ribbon. This is bigger than 20 inches because I was coming to the end of my roll. So I just took the whole piece off. Excuse me. And so what I need to do is fit this around. So I'm going to have enough to do a nice bow. I want this to go right into the center of this panel here before I put my Designer Series paper on. So what I'm going to do is put it right back to that spot. I am going to take some glue dots and add it to the back of the ribbon to hold it in place. Now what I like to do, let me just tear this piece off, put everything down. So I haven't rewound this yet. I usually rewind it so that the dots are on the top and they're on the inside now. So I'm going to take my glue dot and I am just going to place it on the piece of ribbon. And then this is where I just bring that piece down so that I can get it. Oh, and it didn't get on that time. So it will hold it together. Well, let's try this again. It always has worked for me in the past, just having that piece. So I put it down and I take that and there we go. And hold it down so it doesn't lose its stickiness by sticking to my fingers. That's the whole purpose of that, is I just don't want the glue dot to, when you have to touch them with your fingers to press them into the ribbon, then some of the stickiness is gone. Okay, so I've got 3 pieces there. So I'm going to bring this over, make sure it's right in the center, and I'm going to press that down. And I can add at least one more, so I'm going to. We're going to do this on the back of the ribbon too, just so it stays in place when you open the card. So now I'm going to turn the card over and do the same thing. This way the ribbon's going to lay flat and it's going to stay on the card when someone opens it. So it's not that they're going to be having to take the ribbon off and then decide what they're going to do with it. So I'm going to put 4 or 5 of these down. It's okay if they don't go all the way across. And one more. There we go. So now I have enough ribbon here to tie my bow. Okay, so now let's finish this card up. So this is the piece that's going to go in on the inside, and what I want to do with this is just stamp in the Early Espresso ink. I'm going to stamp the hello on the inside piece, and I'm going to stamp that right here in the bottom right corner so I can still address this to who I'm sending it to. So we'll put this on the inside of the card, the front flap card. And then on this side, I'm going to add another piece of the Birch Tree Designer Series paper. And it's going to go right over the ribbon. And then this piece is also going to go on top of that. So you won't see much of that Designer Series paper, but you'll see it all around this little white piece. I'm going to put this on with glue, with dimensionals. So I'm going to just grab my dimensionals, and I'm just going to try to make sure I spread these out so all parts of the bird are getting covered by the dimensionals. And then I'm going to cut some of these so it will fit the other parts. So I'm going to cut a little strip there. Then I'm going to put right along these berries. And then I am going to cut a little piece here. I use absolutely every part of my dimensionals. And then I'm going to cut another piece to go along the tails. The one tail. I said tails, but... Okay, so now this is ready to go on the front of the card. We'll just take the backings off. And here will go our beautiful bird. All right, so I'm going to tie this up. So I'm going to close this so it closes inside like that. I'm going to turn this on the side, and because I want the bow to go up and down sideways. And I'm going to show you my secret weapon. I've shown this before, so you may have seen this. I'm going to take my self-closing tweezers, and I'm going to hold this in place so that I can tie my bow without worrying. So there we go. It's going to hold the ribbon in place while I make my bow. I can bring it down, take them out, and tighten my bow. And then I can play with it to get it to be the length I want it to be. And because I have this extra ribbon, I don't have to worry about it not having enough to make a nice long bow. This is the white diagonal ribbon, so you can see the diagonals in it. And it's kind of glossy. It's just really pretty. Okay, so there's that part. Now all we have to do is add our bling. And that's where where the blend is going to come in handy. I am using the basic rhinestones on this, but I want to add some of that brown, some of that espresso color. And so I'm just going to take and use the blend to color in the the rhinestones, and they get this nice chocolatey color. And I'll show you that in a minute. Now, the one thing I do want to warn you on is that these, if you use the tip end to color these, I have found when I do that, that I start to ruin my tip. But if you color it with the fine point, it's not like a paintbrush where it starts to come apart. So that's just a little tip. Oh, wait a minute. I need 3 of these. So I'm going to put 5 of these on the front of the card. They dry pretty fast. And let me bring it closer to the camera so you can see what they look like. Let me turn it so I can try to get... Oh, I'm not sure if you're seeing it as well as I am. I think you can see they're a little bit brown, but in person they look pretty spectacular. So I'm going to put one up here. This is the middle size. There's 3 different sizes you get. A really large one, a medium size, and then the small ones. And I have colored in 2 of the medium size ones. And then I have 3 of the small ones. So I'm going to put all of those on. And then our card for this Friday is all ready to go. And there you have it, this week's Fun Fold Friday. I love how the chocolate-covered rhinestones just bling when you shade them in the light. So, pretty fun. So, thank you so much for joining me for Fun Fold Friday. I hope you have enjoyed this fold tonight. Make sure, as Angela has done, thank you, Angela, say hello in the comments and let me know what you think of the card. I will be back next Friday night for another edition of Fun Fold Friday. I will also be back Sunday night for another edition of Simply Stamping Sunday. And we're using the Caring Leaves this week. And we're going to have a lot of fun on Sunday night as well. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and hopefully, hi Joyce, I'm glad you love it too. I figured you would because I know how much you love birds. I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll see you Sunday night and again next Friday night. Good night, everybody.